Hi everyone, welcome to the very first session of Impact on Air. My name is Brian Howe.
And I'm Lindsay, and we're the co-founders over here at Impact Hub Seattle.
We're really excited to present Impact on Air. It's a collaboration between Google, Impact Hub Seattle, and VentureScale. So fantastic opportunity to really begin to realize the power of the network and get to meet members from all across the world. We have over 18 Impact Hubs participating in some form or another. Special shout out this morning to Ottawa, Amsterdam, and Barcelona. We know all of you are hosting live viewing parties with us right now, so that's pretty incredible. We look forward to your questions throughout the event. That's it for us. I'll turn it over to Candace Faber, our project coordinator. Thanks.
Thanks. Fantastic. Thanks, Brian and Lindsay. As everyone knows, the goal of Impact on Air is to discover and highlight the most innovative social enterprises from across the Impact Hub network and beyond. We're very excited today to present 3 social enterprises that somehow touch on education. The first is Konnektid, based in Amsterdam. The second is School for Change, based in Ottawa, Canada, and San Francisco. And the third is ActivelyLearn, based here in Seattle. We are also very excited to welcome our expert panel, Carolyn Landel, a well-known innovator in education, particularly STEM education, who is managing director of the Charles A. Dana Center at the University of Texas at Austin. We also have, here, I'll show you her face. We also have Govind Shivkumar, who's investment manager at LGT Venture Philanthropy. Each of our enterprises will have 5 minutes to present, followed by 10 minutes of Q&A, first with our experts and then with you, our viewers. So since we do have a 2 to 3 minute delay, depending on when you log on to this session, we hope that you will submit questions as they come up. So if you're viewing this either at a viewing party at an Impact Hub or at home from your computer, please, when you have a question, just insert it in that Q&A box. And when we get to the Q&A portion for that enterprise, we'll pull up those questions and look at them. So one more thing, when you do submit your question, please let us know where you're from. If you're viewing from an Impact Hub or from home, just let us know your location. So with that, we're excited to get this session rolling. We're going to start with Konnektid, which is an online platform for learning from your neighbors. And here to present is Michel Visser from our Impact Hub in Amsterdam. 1 second, Michel, I'm going to activate your microphone. Take it away.
Hi all, hi Impact Hubs around the world. My name is Michel Visser. I'm the founder of Konnektid. Konnektid offers peer-to-peer learning by helping you to find skilled people in your own neighborhood. I found Konnektid about 2 years ago when I was still an actor. I've studied theater and I was working in for a theater company, and I was after rehearsals going home, and I sat behind 2 guys who just had their job application rejected due to a bad presentation. And I thought, why isn't it possible that these guys come to me and ask me, Michel, could you teach us about presenting? And then I thought, we're all locked up in our own knowledge bubbles, and it's really difficult to reach out, and we believe everything you want to learn and could learn, you could learn it from the people who live in your own neighborhood. So that's why we started Konnektid, where it's really easy to ask a neighbor what you want to learn. So for example, if you want to learn how to play guitar, you just go to Konnektid, you say, I want to learn to play guitar because I want to surprise my girlfriend, and we'll ask all your neighbors if they can teach you that. And then within a day, you receive offers from those who can, and then you pick a place where you meet them offline in your own neighborhood and start learning from a neighbor who can teach you passionately about what they like. So that was my short introduction on what we do with Konnektid, and I would like to take you a little bit along a video and our website to introduce you how we do it. Let me share you my screen. First of all, I would like to show you a little video.
You know that awesome feeling when you're learning something new?
feel comfortable, right? In control. You might even feel like you're on top of the world.
Hey, Michelle.
Pretty happy.
You might want to go back to screen share and restart the video. We can hear it, but we can't see you.
Oh, that's strange. Let me try it again.
This is the pleasures of modern technology.
So, do you see the video?
Yes, we see it now.
You feel comfortable, right? In control. You might even feel like you're on top of the world. In short, it makes you pretty happy. So why not learn a new skill every day? Connected, you can. Just imagine, you'd like to grow your own kitchen garden. You don't quite have that, green thumb. Surely, you have a neighbor who does. That's where Connected comes in. Simply go to Konnektid.com and shows if you'd like to live. So, gardens, right? Now, sit back and relax. Connected will ask your neighbors if they need. Your neighbor John loves gardening, so answer yes. You then make an appointment to meet. And he can teach you all he knows. Together, you create a big network. With John, you learn something new yourself. And you all benefit from each other. Now, you can learn a new skill every day. That's Connected in a nutshell. Easy way to find skilled people in your neighborhood. Register now. Let's get connected.
So that's what we do with Konnektid, and let me run you through what we do on our website. So it's really easy to sign up or log in. You just use your email address, which is connected to a social media provider we recognize. So you can log in. You go to the website. You tell us that you would like to be a barista or want to go surfing, and we'll ask your neighbors. And then you get offers back, and you will make connections. You can also browse through your own neighborhood and see what people can teach you who live in your own neighborhood. So that's what we say Connected in a nutshell. If you have any questions, I'm really willing to answer all of your questions. Can I speak louder? Of course I can. I can speak louder.
Michelle, I'll turn up your microphone too.
So if there's any questions, please let me know.
Sure. So thanks, Michelle. I'm personally excited to see which of my neighbors, if any, can teach me how to play guitar or improve my Chinese. But I'm sure that our experts as well as our viewers have some questions for you, not just about how the platform works, but about how you are planning to roll this out in other cities. Seems like it's really important to have a critical mass of users for the platform to work. So I'm going to go ahead and kick it over to Carolyn Landel to start our feedback session. Go ahead, Carolyn.
Great. Well, thank you, and thanks, Michelle, for the presentation. So I'll kick off with just a few questions that emerged. Couple things. Can see the need side, so people want to learn something. I guess I'm wondering what's the sort of your baseline data to suggest then neighbors are going to be willing to offer this service, and do you think of this as free? Is it going to be commercial? People are going to sell that service to you? Like, what's your vision for the motivation for the neighbors to offer their service, and do you see that being as a free community connecting, or do you see that being where people are actually going to charge for that service? What's the vision for that? For those who might be a little, so second question might be, those who might be a little risk averse, what are the safeguards you put up to make sure we're connecting people to safely? We won't play out all the worst scenarios you can imagine there. And then I'd just love to hear if you have any sort of baseline data from the community you're in. How are those connections going? What are you learning? And how are you kind of tracking the user experience on both ends, those who are making the request and those who are offering the service, that might be informing your broader expansion into other cities?
Yeah, there are all really good questions. I think four built in one. Let me start with the last one. Is that we focus on growth in the Netherlands, Amsterdam and the Netherlands first, and get proof of concept here. In Amsterdam, we have kind of proof of concept. We have enough people to actually answer a question within a day. 60 to 70% of the questions are answered within a day. That means that you have at least an offer and can meet someone offline. And to answer the value for the teacher is that people are passionate about what they are good at. So it's a social learning. It's sharing your knowledge. And if someone is passionate about it, they would love to give that passion to other people as well. So what's the value for a teacher is that they can inspire someone to do something they like as well and meet people in their own neighborhood. So to build new friendships as well. So yeah, we look at a data-driven growth indeed. So we need critical mass in neighborhoods, and that's why we build ambassador programs to allow people to start off their own community in their own neighborhood. We are a question and demand-based marketplace, you could say. Because, and that has a reason, because in normal marketplaces where you list skills, people only list 3 to 5 skills. So with 100 people you have 300, 500 skills. What we do is we ask around. So we tap into all the knowledge instead of only the knowledge listed by people. So by doing that, we achieve that we can have way more matches than only on listed-based marketplaces.
Thank you.
Great, thank you, Michelle. I'm going to turn it over to Govind here for any additional questions. Govind?
Hi, Michelle. Thanks for. I have just 2 questions. One is, is there any verification done about these so-called skills? Is there a rating system where I can basically say whether I had a good experience or bad? Mm-hmm. And the second is, what is the number of people using Konnektid more than once? In the sense, what is your retention rate? Mm-hmm. Because the community will only grow if people are using this more than once, and the teachers are getting to teach more than once. Because the first time you'll always have the early adopters getting more excited. But since you've been running this for 2.5, 3 years, I just want to understand what has been your retention rate.
The idea is from 2.5 years ago. We launched our current website on the 10th of April, so it's online for 3 months only. So the data is only for 3 months up now. And what we see is that 20 to 25% of the people who use Konnektid once are coming back within a month to either answer a question for someone or post a new question to learn as well. And you had another question about the reviews. We are actually, as we speak, building a review and reference system based on 2 factors: is how good was your teacher, and how nice was the meetup. So not only based on the level of skill someone has, but also someone can be a really nice coffee drinker and you can have a really good conversation then, but the skill level of the teacher is quite low. So we want to have like kind of an impact measurement on what the skill level of people is and if people are nice people to meet up with. So that will be launched hopefully September, October.
All right, thanks Michelle for that answer, and Govind for your question. If everyone in the chat would click over to your Q&A, we have some great questions here from other Impact Hubs around the world. I'd like to start with a question from right next door to you, Michelle, in Impact Hub Rotterdam. How do you fund the ongoing development and maintenance of your platform?
Yeah, we started off with a government fund, and last year we have found 3 angel investors who are backing up the project, and we are raising, as we speak, a new round of investment, which is almost everything we need is committed for to at least go on for another year. we're still, of course, looking for new investors as well and build new relationships with investors. And we are going to run a crowdfunding campaign in November. If you're interested, and it's a convertible note campaign, so you can become partly owner of Konnektid as well in the future by helping us to crowdfund our product.
Experiment in equity crowdfunding. I think all of us in the social enterprise space are watching to see how that works. All right,
Yeah.
I have another question for you. This one is from Impact Hub Salt Lake. Ryan is asking if Konnektid is available in their area, in Utah, in the USA, and if there's anywhere that, I suppose for legal reasons or otherwise, that the platform is unavailable. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, of course. Well, the platform is available around the world. You can subscribe from everywhere. The problem is probably in Utah, you won't have any neighbors yet who can answer your questions. But that's why we built the ambassador program. So if someone is interested to start off Konnektid in their own neighborhood, in their own city, we are really open to get in touch with those people and set them up and really help them to launch their own connected city, connected neighborhood, and start skill sharing in your own city.
Fantastic. Thanks, Michelle. I now have a question from Barcelona. They're wondering what you guys do to activate your community.
Yeah, for example, what we did in Amsterdam is we organized the Big Exchange. The Big Exchange is the biggest exchange market of the Netherlands, where you could exchange anything for anything. So we had people exchanging German lessons for a weekend on a living boat, a car, driving a weekend in a cabriolet for a cheesecake. So we organized sharing events. To promote sharing and to promote that people can help each other by offering their house, their skills, their food, what they make. So offline events, online matching, that's what we do to promote and set up the community.
That sounds like an exciting marketing scheme. We have another.
It's really nice, indeed.
We have another question from Salt Lake. They'd like to know what the revenue model is for Konnektid. How do you plan to stay financially sustainable?
Yeah, for now, also we are fully focused on building and getting our community up and running and really let our community grow. And in the future, we are thinking about kind of an Evernote kind of a model, a subscription model, freemium. So people can find knowledge and skilled people in their own neighborhood and start learning from them. But if you want more and you want to kind of have an added value to that, we are going to have a subscription model involved.
Fantastic. All right, we're going to take one more question here. This is from Susan Van Gundy, who's watching from her personal computer. And she says, this seems like a great concept. She'd like to know how you're networking the service with other organizations that might already be connecting people to professional or personal learning opportunities.
Yeah, so we have a group functionality in Konnektid as well, which is open for all communities to use. So if you have an existing community where you like to unlock the educational power of that community, you can come to us and ask for a specific group within Konnektid. It's what we did with the Impact Hub in Amsterdam as well. They have their own Impact Hub group within Konnektid to help empower the people of the hub to find people with specific knowledge and set out that questions inside their specific community within Konnektid.
Great. Well, thank you very much, Michelle. It was fantastic to hear about Konnektid and how you're getting off the ground there in Amsterdam. And thanks as well to everyone who's been submitting questions from the viewing parties as well as from your personal computers. Just a reminder to anyone who's watching from home, as we shift to the next presentation, if you have any questions during the presentation, go ahead and submit them right away. We do have a slight delay between the presentation and the viewing, so that'll help. Next up, we have the very exciting School for Change, which focuses specifically on the education needs of change makers. They're a little unique in that they've got a team based both in Ottawa, Canada, and in San Francisco, California. So I'm going to turn it over to Jessica in Ottawa. Jessica, your mic is live, so you might want to make sure we've got
Hi.
There we go.
Great. Thanks, Candice. My name is Jess. Thanks for the intro. And 10 years ago, I co-founded a social enterprise and had a huge vision and a lot of passion for the programming and people that we were trying to reach. But I quickly realized as things started to scale up that instead of focusing on the what we were doing, I needed to focus on the how. It was those organizational tactics of building a movement that were so challenging and that were making a difference. And unfortunately, my biology degree didn't really prepare me for any of those, and I felt like I was always scrambling to try and be more professional, to have the skills to match the problem I was trying to address, and was learning on the fly and making unnecessary mistakes. That early experience really shaped the rest of the work that I do, and it led me to want to start School for Change, where I've seen that the skill gap in the social sector, it's so pervasive and it holds us back far more than we even realize. With School for Change, I want to build the training that I never had as a change maker, but that I needed, and that we all need as change makers to develop the programs and the organizations and the movements we need to solve the world's problems. Over to Jesse.
Hey everyone, so I'm over in Hub San Francisco. So this is a very hub-based partnership, and the idea for me came out of my work at the Hub. I actually used to run Impact Hub Berkeley, and I ran the education programs for San Francisco and for the Bay Area. And what I noticed right away was that there were these amazing organizations who had the best practices and the cutting edge patterns and practices for change making. And then there were individuals who, like Jess, were really craving professional development. And so when we built a Skillshare platform at the Hub, there was tremendous outpouring of support and interest in it. But it was only within the Hub network, and it was only in physical classes. So the question I asked was, how can we deliver really, really high-quality educational content from the best change-making organizations, activists, social entrepreneurs in the world, and deliver that to basically make it as widely accessible and as affordable as possible, while also trying to build a business around it. So Jess, can you cue the slides?
Yeah.
So essentially, when those come up, what we offer, among other things, are online courses that are on demand and results focused. And Jess, if you can go to slide 3. Essentially, our online courses aim to be incredibly relevant to the impact sector. So all the skills that we're teaching use social sector examples, even if they're not exclusive skills to the impact sector, and widely accessible. And then the third thing that we really focus on is the pedagogy. So, along with a lot of other organizations, we're trying to figure out what the best way to deliver really beautiful online media, online education in a way that changes people to the point where they are feeling empowered and able to change the world themselves. So those are our online courses. They're mostly video-based, and definitely encourage you to check them out. Here's an example of some of the ones that we're offering, and we're building many more this summer.
Jessica, just so you know, we're not seeing the slides change. So it would be great if we could get, there we go, it'd be great to get a visual of what you guys are doing here on the web.
Great, you can see them now? Okay.
Better.
Along with our notes, great.
But
so I'm going to hand it over to Jess, actually, to talk about one of our other course types.
So can you see the slides, Candice?
I'm seeing PowerPoint. So it might be best to show the website or just pull up a single individual slide in full screen.
Okay. Well, maybe I'll just stop the screen share and we'll just talk then. So another one of our course types are in-person workshops. So both Jesse and I led learning programs at our individual hubs. And we saw huge benefits when people learn in community, but as curators, we really struggled to find the right instructor because you needed someone who had expertise in the right topic, that were really great teachers, and that were willing to do this all at a price that Hubbers could afford. And so what we want to do with our in-person workshops is really try to solve that problem by combining the best of online, where we can bring an instructor from anywhere into your hub, and combine that with the wonderful things that come from learning in community. So we'll be piloting that in Hub Bay Area, Hub Boulder, and then Hub Ottawa in the next couple of months, and hopefully some other hubs, maybe some that are connecting to this broadcast. And by doing that, we'll be showing some of the video content we've produced with these hard-to-find but amazing instructors, and complementing that with a local facilitator who will host activities that draw out feedback and allow you to apply concepts, and also source local expertise, maybe something that's connected with Konnektid, that so that you can find other people in your community that can help you implement.
Great. Thanks, Jessica. So we are ready to shift into some feedback here from our experts, feedback and questions. So this time we're going to start with Govind.
Thanks, Jessica and Jesse. That's right. My question is that first is, who is your target audience? Because I had a look at your website this morning. It seems, you know, the target audience to me seems a little confusing because one, there is a course on social entrepreneurship. There is another one on careers that matter, and the third one on do-it-yourself for change makers. So it seems like, are you trying to attract someone to come into the website and then kind of take them through like a process of courses, or who's your audience? Because you have a lot of competition, and I know you know that, for online learning.
So, yeah, there's sort of two questions in there, Govind. Thank you. The first is that just to the competition piece, you're right, of course, that there's a lot of competition for online learning, but there's actually nothing out there that's focused specifically on change makers. There are some physical courses that are, but there's nothing that's focused specifically on change makers. And Jess and I were struggling with the audience question for a long time. And we went back and forth. We were like, oh, it's 18 to 25-year-olds, really people who are new grads or in their first job. And then we went and we said, oh, no, you know, we want to think about it as later stage nonprofit managers who are looking to skill up in their jobs. But as we actually spoke to change makers and went out and talked to potential customers, what we realized was that the audience varies in demographic, but they have one thing in common that defines them, which is that they have a drive or a passion to contribute to the world in some way, to make social change, and that they believe that there's a better way of doing it. So, for instance, if we were teaching a lean impact course, which we will at some point, the audience for that is equally the nonprofit manager who's 45 years old and has been in the sector for 2 decades and wants to make a difference after seeing all the same stale tactics not working, as it is the 21-year-old college grad. So our audience is really defined by people who are at their core change makers and want to use new tactics.
Okay, my only additional point would be to think a little bit more deeply, because then you have to think in a more strategic manner when you create the content. Otherwise, you'll be kind of creating a lot of content without being very focused and skewed towards one particular demographic.
Yeah, it'd be wonderful to connect with you at some point about that.
Sure.
Great.
Thanks.
All right. Well, thank you for the questions. Again, a reminder to anyone who's viewing, we'd love to have you submit your questions through the page. We'll be shifting over to them in just a moment. For now, I'm going to turn it over to Carolyn for additional feedback and questions for School for Change.
Great, thank you. I'm going to have one question that's a little bit of a follow-up to Govind, and then a second at a slightly different context. So first is that question of audience definitely struck me as well, and as you're defining it, it's quite broad, and one could argue virtually, you know, whether you're a teacher or a nonprofit or a medical, right? We all have different drivers for, you know, wanting to change the world or make a difference. So I guess I'm wondering the extent to which you think about your role as inviting folks to increase their sense of themselves as change makers, and you're trying to draw them in versus just attracting those who already see themselves as such, and what that means for your work. And the second thing, which I think is a pervasive challenge for online learning and frankly teaching and learning in general, and that is many of us who work in the education profession are quite adept at delivering content, but the extent to which we have metrics that can convince us that that content changed what people knew, believed, or how they behaved is the real struggle. So what's the way you're assessing the extent to which people's experiences in these online learning experiences is actually skilling them up, as you said, as change makers, and they are actually adopting both the knowledge and the beliefs as well as the actual behaviors that you're teaching, to know whether you're really being a change maker.
Right, yeah.
Yeah,
sure. So there's two questions again, and the first one, when we're looking at how do we bring in potentially new change makers, I think right now we're really focusing on our early adopters, so people who are already identifying as change makers, but in the long term we definitely want to expand that out, and we've already seen some of the people who've registered and backed some of our courses already and taken our first course that we've built. Many of them haven't been change makers or identify themselves as such, and are using the course to kind of build up their vocabulary in that area, and so that's really exciting for us, and we're going to keep experimenting with who our early adopters are and who's responding to what we produce. Your second question about how do we know whether it's working, that is a huge challenge, I agree, and I think you make a great point. I've been trying to do that in education for a long time myself, and I think one way that we're going to do that at School for Change is, because we're a business model and people are paying for access to each course, that we can see whether they buy again. And that's a great test for us. If they find value, they will purchase it again, and they will continue to be members of our community. Well, we also are able to see the analytics of how much of a course do they watch, how do they interact with quizzes, how do they interact with the different materials, and that's one of the things that I think is really powerful about online learning as compared to an in-person workshop, where you can really get a broad number of people and see how they react, and then continue to iterate on that content. I think those are great points for sure.
Thanks, guys. So we have just a couple minutes for additional questions on School for Change. I'd like to start with the question, how much do your courses cost on average, if you can talk about that for individuals and for organizations?
So it's really important that we keep our courses affordable, and we actually have a crowdfunding model for them. So one of the ways that we're responsive to our audience is by allowing them to back courses, essentially vote on courses that then get developed. So it's $20 to back a course, $35 to pre-register for one while it's in development, and then $50 once it's been created. So very affordable. Those are comparable. Usually the courses are 90 minutes or to 2 hours. And for our sort of business-to-business offerings, it's very much a case-by-case basis, depending on what the needs are.
Great. And can you share any of the titles of your courses or sample kind of content, what people would learn?
Yeah, absolutely. Jess, do you want to take it?
For sure, yeah. So because you couldn't see that slide, but you can see all of them on the website. Some of the ones we have upcoming are DIY professional development. We have one that we're building on careers that matter, storytelling for change. We've got things on blended business models, and we're looking at doing impact investing. And basically in the fall, we're rolling out a library of a whole bunch of different courses and a membership offer. so that people can pay on a monthly basis and then have access to a whole library of courses. So we'll be launching at least 5 in September, and then additional courses as we roll out for those who are part of our membership base.
Great. Well, that is all the time we have for School for Change right now. Thank you so much to both Jessica and Jesse for sharing with us about your enterprise. Certainly things that I think everyone on this call probably wishes they had when they were starting out. I'm now going to turn things over to our final presenter, Scott from ActivelyLearn. And just again, a reminder to viewers, if you've got questions, go ahead and submit them at any time during the presentation. All right, Scott, it's your turn.
All right. Thank you very much, Candace. Hi, everybody. My name is Scott Prescott. I'm a director at ActivelyLearn, and our company was founded on the premise that students learn more when they read annotated text. 1 year ago, we launched a digital reading platform that allows teachers to embed questions, notes, and media directly into the text they teach. And for the next few minutes, I want to walk you through a presentation that helps you better understand exactly what we do. Okay? So just 1 second. And quick gut check, Candace, is everything looking okay for everybody watching? Yep. Okay. Our co-founder is an educator and administrator, and ActivelyLearn is the digital reading platform he wishes he had for the last 20 years. Incredibly, of every 3 students, 2 are struggling readers. They cannot even understand the main idea when they read. That is about 30 million students who are literate, but at such a basic level that their life prospects are totally limited. They are 4 times more likely to drop out of school, and if you think they'll succeed in math or science, it is very, very unlikely. This leads to one conclusion: reading is the heart of education. It is the most important skill we learn in school. But the problem is, our country has not improved reading achievement in over 40 years. Because the best way for teachers to help students as they read is to annotate like this. And that's why we created ActivelyLearn, a digital reading platform that empowers teachers to reach students inside a text and ensures that they read closely. In our pilots this past year, students who read with ActivelyLearn performed 23% better in post-reading comprehension tests. And let me quickly show you why that improvement happens. For instance, here is Matt. As Matt reads, he does not know where to focus his attention. But fortunately, his teacher has chunked the text by embedding questions, so he stops, thinks critically, and writes. And as Matt answers questions, he is now more motivated because he knows his teacher and classmates will see his response. Later, Matt sees a video his classmate has shared that helps him reveal the tone in this scene, something he did not understand before. And lastly, Matt now walks into a more effective classroom because his teacher knows exactly where students excel and struggle. Now, we launched a free version of ActivelyLearn 1 year ago, and so far, teachers and students, they really like us. And even as the school year came to an end, we still saw 1,500 users onboard ActivelyLearn every single week. So the success of our free product puts us in a great position in this industry. And let me walk you through how we're delivering value both to schools and to publishers. For schools, principals and district administrators and decision makers are making big investments in technology. They want products that their teachers and students really love and a platform that supports their new digital curriculum. And we deliver against both these needs, and it has led to really fast sales cycles with our customers this year. For publishers, these guys are basically stuck in the Stone Ages, and they want a channel to get their content digital and interactive. We are working with Pearson and have signed up a K-12 publisher at a 50-50 rev share on our platform. So the education community agrees with what we do. As I mentioned, we're working with Pearson, the largest education company in the world. We're supported by the Gates Foundation for our efforts in literacy, and we have a grant from the National Science Foundation to research personal reading algorithms for our students. We feel and we know that students in our community and around the world need our help, and we're excited because the innovation that is coming out of the global Impact Hub community is exactly what these kids need to succeed. It's been a complete honor to share what we do with you today. Thank you for your time, and I'm really excited to hear and answer any of your questions. So with that, I'd love to turn it over to you, Candace, or to anybody else.
Great. Thank you so much, Scott. Well, we are going to pivot back to Carolyn for the first round of feedback this time. Carolyn?
Sure, great. So I have too many questions, so I'm trying to prioritize here quickly. So really intriguing. I loved what I saw. A couple of questions. So I'm really curious about the grade range that you're presently working in or targeting. You know, there's a lot of evidence of the importance of kids getting on grade level reading by grade 3. Your images showed mostly older kids. So I'm wondering how you're thinking about grade ranges, where you're starting.
Yeah.
And I'm also curious about in the schools, what teachers are really leveraging the tool. Elementary reading is such a core part of the curriculum. When you move into secondary, it can get confined to sort of English teachers, even though particularly nonfiction text is integral to lots of subject areas. So how are you thinking about the engagement of teachers in different subject areas and different grade levels integrating this? And wondering if how this connects at all with states as they're thinking about Common Core and the extent to which the standards movement is influencing the design of the platform and the kind of feedback students and teachers get.
Okay.
So I wasn't prioritized. That was a lot.
Okay. I'll start with question number 1.
Okay.
Question number 1 is kind of what students are using our platform, where is their best fit? First and foremost, we are not a platform to teach students how to read, like some kind of phonics platform. So generally, our fit is where students are reading to learn. The sweet spot for us is usually between 4th and 12th grade students. It doesn't mean that our platform doesn't get used with lower grades. For instance, we have a lot of use cases where 2nd and 3rd grade teachers just want to teach their students digital literacy skills. And typing on an iPad, answering questions on their Chromebooks is very helpful, and ActivelyLearn delivers on that need. Your second question was about kind of what types of teachers or what subject areas get used in ActivelyLearn more. We, first and foremost, have seen big growth with ELA and social studies, basically teachers and programs. However, our investments have been in a platform where teachers really bring their own content, and we give them the tools to embed the questions, notes, and media that's appropriate for their content or for their subject matter. And we're starting to see growth in science and mathematics subjects because now teachers, they just don't want to teach the Pythagorean theorem. They want to explain and talk about how it relates to the real world. And sometimes that's reading stories or articles or a New York Times piece about where it applies. So that's kind of my comment on that. And then I think your last question, Carolyn, was the Common Core. So right now, a big emphasis on our platform is we allow every single question and note on ActivelyLearn to be tied to the Common Core. So when you're asking questions, you can decide what Common Core standard you are measuring. And what we give teachers is over a series of different assignments or over the course of a semester, they can see progress of how their students are faring against the standards they're going to be measured at. And so we're really one of the solutions that both teachers and district administrators have to measure in real time where they're going to miss the mark on their state standards and where they're going to be okay. And so that's less of a surprise to them with our platform.
Thank you.
Does that answer your questions?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Great. Thank you so much, Carolyn and Scott. Now I'd like to switch over to Govind for additional questions and feedback.
Thanks, Doc, for a great presentation. I like the fact that you showed the two guys cannot read or are having trouble reading. So we know that girls are better at everything. So my only additional question is, you say that teachers can customize content for students. I looked at your video. And mixing audio and visual elements. So my one question is, that is, I think, becoming increasingly important, is combining pedagogy, gamification, and content to make people, or children at least, be more engaged. So if I am a teacher and I've created a specific visual, audio, visual element for, say, Brothers Karamazov, can I share it with other teachers, and can they use that? And can it kind of become a better pedagogy for other teachers to kind of teach Brothers Karamazov in different parts of the world?
Yeah. Just to make sure I completely understand, I had a little trouble hearing you. Is your question, I as a teacher, Scott, I'm teaching a 9th grade social studies class, and I create an amazing assignment that's embedded with instruction, that has videos, that has images, that has questions. Can I also put that on the ActivelyLearn platform for other teachers who maybe have similar classrooms as me to use as well? Is that the question? And
yes.
So the answer to that is absolutely yes. One of our long-term, basically differentiation strategies is to be a huge content platform where not only I as a teacher come to build the perfect instruction for my students, but a place where I can find the perfect instruction for my students. Most people in education know that there's a lot of teachers who will burn the midnight oil, and they will stay up until the wee hours of the night to create that perfect assignment for their students. There are also people, because educators are so overworked, that are looking for shortcuts and ways to find really high quality instruction. And we want to be a platform that offers both the tools to create your own assignment and basically the mechanism to find your own assignment. So we allow teachers to share content, and we have a rating system where it basically highlights for a given text or for a given web article, what are the different types of assignments that someone from Minnesota, or California, or someone else has shared, and let teachers decide which one's most appropriate for their students.
Just one 10-second point is, we work with over 16,000 public schools and over 800 affordable private schools in Asia, Pac, and Africa. So I just wanted to kind of understand from you if you're thinking of making this available cheaper to people who cannot afford at $25, maybe people from outside the US. I mean, something to think about if you ever kind of...
Yeah, that's a good question. So our strategy right now is we have a freemium model, and the freemium model is not a trial-based model. So teachers in the United States or around the world, we have some teachers in like the UK, Australia, and New Zealand, they can use ActivelyLearn in their classrooms for free. The only thing we hold back is a series of different extra features for teachers to really get insights on their students, and a lot of administrative tools so administrators and decision makers can understand how they're tracking towards standards. Those are really the value add pieces that schools and districts are purchasing today. We do not want to be a blocker for the progressive teacher in, the school in Minnesota or the school in New Zealand or potentially the school in Bombay to use ActivelyLearn because they have devices or because they want to pursue those opportunities.
Great. Thank you, Govind, and thank you, Scott. We have several questions from viewers, so I'd like to shift to those. First, this is an interesting question from James Fox at Impact Hub Boulder, Colorado. He's curious, what are the performance metrics that the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation requires for their partnership with ActivelyLearn?
So that's a good question. So we were one of the recipients of the Literacy Courseware Challenge for Bill and Melinda Gates, and there was kind of basically two components of what happened with our Bill and Melinda Gates grant. The first is we ran a pilot with our existing reading platform with a number of basically schools, and basically did a collaborative kind of deep dive of what were the results and how were teachers using the platform and what were the results and kind of improvements or decreases in performance we saw. That was part one. Part two is part of the grant was to build in a writing solution to our platform, and that is a solution that we're launching in the fall of this year, and that will be closely tied to allowing teachers not only to scaffold reading instruction, but scaffold writing instruction. Like, here is an essay that you have to write, and here are the pieces that you have to include. I'm not sure if that exactly answers your question, but that was the framework of our partnership with the Gates Foundation.
Great. Thanks, Scott. So, wow, there's a ton of questions that are addressing something Carolyn brought up, which is essentially about your integration with school standards, whether it's Common Core state standards, assessment consortia, and I imagine that that's something that is only going to get more complicated as you move to scale and potentially move to new markets. Just specifically to select one of these questions from Ruby Love in Seattle, are you providing a rating system for quality of digital content and state standards? So maybe if you can give us a brief answer that talks, more generally about your approach to standards in different places.
Yeah. So answering this question specifically, this is a really good question. There are volumes of digital content for teachers in these spaces. One thing that is unique about ActivelyLearn that differentiates it from Teachers Pay Teachers, Better Lesson, Share My Lesson, is that we are not just a platform where people can pull down a PDF or pull down this worksheet. We are a place that offers basically a treasure chest of content. And because the reading and instruction happens on our platform, we are tracking all the metrics around reading time, performance on certain standards, performance against certain questions. And so we are building into our rating system, not just thumbs up, did teachers enjoy using this instruction, which adds value to the crowd, but also that kind of data-driven approach to say these types of assignments or these types of questions led to higher outcomes. It's something that us and some of our competitors in the kind of digital reading platform space are working on right now and really trying to figure out what makes the most sense.
Great. Great. Well, we do have more questions from viewers, but I want to keep us all on schedule. So thank you very much, Scott, for that. I want to take a couple of minutes here at the end and just ask everyone who's been participating in the call, all of the presenters, to offer a closing statement. Just so you all know, we have been tracking our viewers for this session, and we've had people from Bucharest, Ottawa, Amsterdam, Oaxaca, Zurich, Salt Lake, Barcelona, Rotterdam, Seattle, all around the world. So I want to give each of you the opportunity to just make like a 30-second closing pitch, and we'll start. Michelle, if you're ready, we'll start by going back to you.
First of all, thank you very much for being online. Thank you for the feedback I've got. I would like to say, start sharing your skills. Inspiration doesn't lie in what you already know, but in what you're about to discover. So please open up to your neighborhood and start sharing your skills with neighbors and start learning from the people around you. Have fun.
Great. Thanks, Michelle. Jessica?
Thanks. Maybe move Jessica. Sounds like she's got a delay. So thanks for listening. It's been a pleasure to be here. Please take a look at School for Change's website. We have a free email course that is available right now. It's 4 tips and tricks to make your change-making impact larger in 4 weeks. And we're developing a lot more, so just please stay tuned.
Fantastic. All right, Scott, what about you?
It's been a pleasure to be here. Thank you to Candace and Jack and everybody for listening. If you have or you know of students that are in elementary, middle school, and high school that are looking to improve the reading comprehension scores, the reading achievement, or just read more closely, encourage your students or your friends' teachers to check out ActivelyLearn.com. We feel it is everything teachers need to get their students reading closely. So thank you very much.
Great. Carolyn, Govind, what about you? Any closing thoughts?
Well, again, I'll thank the presenters for sharing their passion and their curiosities and commitments to change in whatever domain they are working in. It's always fun to be a part of that conversation, and I hope this spurs further conversation. I guess I would say I pick up on the question I posed to School for Change, but I think it applies to all of you. You know, what's the responsibility we bear as innovators to really demonstrate the power of our intervention, to help people, you know, help that little snowball gather speed and grow, and what responsibility then do we bear to help others in related fields learn from the way we approached our social change so that others can be more successful. So best of luck in your own endeavors, and I hope you will help others who are change makers benefit from your experiences.
No, great. I think the presentations were absolutely fantastic, all three organizations, and all the questions, they also answered absolutely to the point without diverging or being defensive. So I really love that, and thanks a lot for doing that. If I can be of any assistance, I'm happy to help, but thanks a lot for having me.
Great. Well, thanks again to all of you. Just a reminder for you and for our viewers, this session will be available on YouTube just starting a few minutes after the end of our broadcast, and we'll be tweeting about it and following up through our handle on Twitter at Impact on Air. As a reminder, we're going to have another session, actually 4 more sessions targeting different areas of social innovation. The next one takes place on July 31st, so just swing by our website, impactonair.com, to find out about that. And finally, we just want to say thanks again to Google for sponsoring this program, and to Impact Hub Seattle and Venture Scale, the partners, for putting this together. It's just so exciting to hear about the innovative work that people are doing throughout the Impact Hub network around the world. So thanks again to all of you, and we hope to see you again soon on air. Bye. On July 31st. So just swing by our website and talk on